Well, hello everyone. My name's Todd Weatherby with AWS, and I lead the professional services organization worldwide for AWS. Thank you for joining us at AWS reInvent 2020 this year. We're aiming to provide you with a whole load of information and resources to help you accelerate your pace of innovation and your progress toward your target outcomes. This particular session, we're going to focus on how enterprises are scaling and innovating quickly for the purpose of differentiation, for not only surviving in the times ahead, but thriving and becoming a winner using the cloud-based IT model to serve the business differently and better. So let's look first at your opportunity. Here at AWS in professional services, I've had the great pleasure of working with thousands of enterprises across the world over 9 years. And I can tell you back 9 years ago, this conversation started with senior leaders in IT who were looking for an economic reason. They were looking for cost savings on storage, commoditizing compute, or a different way to do hosting. And it was a pretty clinical IT cost-oriented conversation. But fast forward 9 years, boy, that's changed. The discussion is really about the business opportunity. Your opportunity is big and it's real, and it's about the business. It's about actually delivering not only for your internal stakeholders, but delivering great new innovation and services to your end customers. It brings with it this productivity and agility, and the other things listed here about scaling and security and all the advantages that you're probably aware of in the cloud model. But most importantly, it positions your enterprise for the future, to be a leader, to be a winner, to be differentiated, and to get there quickly. When we think about time and we think about the pace of innovation and the pace of technology moving along, here's a piece of research I'd like to share with you that we're watching closely. This is from McKinsey. They did this research back in 2018, just a couple years ago, and they looked at the enterprise lifespan. So they looked at the S&P 500 enterprises. They looked back in 1964. The average lifespan of those enterprises was 33 years. Now you're sitting there thinking, okay, how old is my company? Older than 33, less than 33. But now play it forward. Now their study played it forward all the way to 2027. And in 2027, they're predicting that the average lifespan of an enterprise will come all the way down to 12 years. 33 years, average lifespan down to 12. What's happening there? It's disruption. It's digital transformation. It's digital innovation. This is what's separating those that survive and thrive from those who don't. And I'll tell you that a lot of people understand this conceptually. A lot of people feel the acceleration of all this. But 1 out of 6 of the people that they talked to didn't feel like their company had a bold plan to take advantage of technology to innovate in their business on behalf of the business and bring new services to their customers at the speed that was necessary to be one of the winners. So think about your situation. You've got a big opportunity, and the time really is right now, and this data shows it. It won't get any easier. It won't come to you more naturally than right now. Now's the time. So we talked about what the opportunity is and why you should do it. But now let's talk through how. Again, I mentioned that I've been here 9 years, and I get a chance to look across a lot of enterprises and look at the patterns and best practices. And I can tell you that it rolls up into this mental model that you're seeing right here. On the left-hand side, it starts with your goals, and it gets all the way to the right-hand side where you're realizing those as business outcomes. At the top of this chart, you can see, of course, your business strategy. And at the bottom, you got to get all the way through to execution. Great strategy without execution doesn't help much. Execution without a differentiated plan might not help much. So it all comes together in 3 big work streams that we see over and over again. And I want to share those with you today and share with you some examples of how enterprises like yours are making great progress very fast following these work streams. Let's start at the bottom. So the foundation and operations work stream is the key. This is where many enterprises for the last several years have been doing proof of concepts with the cloud or production pilots. And they've got things going in different parts of the enterprise. But it's right now that the winners are realizing that they've got to set a very intentional investment in their foundation, in the architecture that keeps it secure, and safe, but also in the operating model that allows them to run it all at scale and great speed with that security and safety built in. And so this foundation and operating model is critical to moving from your pilot stage to the full enterprise stage where multiple business units, multiple product teams can innovate fast with the right controls, but innovate independently and in parallel to serve the business better. So that's the first one. Moving up this stack into the second work stream, running in parallel with the foundation, is this work on migration and modernization. This is where you go after your legacy environments, your technical debt. This is where enterprises are looking at their current portfolio and bringing it into the cloud and then optimizing and modernizing over time. I can tell you it's much easier to optimize and modernize in the target environment of the cloud than it is to do it outside the environment, spend lots of time and money, and then try to move. The best practice we've seen is migrate and modernize over time. It's not one or the other. The next layer up is this business innovation layer. Again, these are work streams that run in parallel through an enterprise as they adjust to a new way of working and bringing new results to the business more quickly. If you look at that top layer, that top work stream called business innovation, this is where it's about creating new capabilities that could never be done in the legacy environment. This is where you used to have to say no, and now you can say yes. These things stayed below the cut line because of something to do with budget, something to do with capability, but you weren't able to say yes to the business as much as you wanted to. Now, without those constraints of the old environment, with the new capabilities of the cloud, you can bring new business services to your stakeholders and your end customers and do it in a way that was never possible before. So imagine when you get all three of these right, when you get a great foundation and a model to run it at scale, you're modernizing what you've migrated, and you're creating new capabilities on top of all that. When you're hitting all three in parallel, that's when it really starts to pay off for those business outcomes. So let's take a look at some examples that I'm sure you'll be able to relate to. Let's start with this foundation and operation work stream. And let's look first at a company called Liberty Mutual Insurance. Liberty Mutual is based in the United States. They're multinational, though. They're international. Operations in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, but also in South America, as well as the United States. Their challenge was that they had gotten through that pilot stage. They had projects that showed them the possibility, but they still had old environments where they just had cost and lack of scalability that was holding them back. So they felt like they really needed to make a deliberate move, a big move to enable lots of teams to go fast and go in parallel. So we worked with them to create their foundation, their operating model. And they first looked at 300 of the most important applications in their business. And they got together a new team to go after the discovery work and the analysis work and the architecture work in the first 20 applications to build the reference architectures necessary to create the patterns then that they use through the rest of the portfolio. What they'll tell you is one of their key learnings was that they needed to be conscious not only of the custom applications built in their environment, but also the third-party applications, the independent software vendor applications that they used to reach out proactively to those providers of software to make sure that those applications were also ready for the cloud in their business model, their licensing, and their technology. When they did that, they got a full view of their 300 applications, and they set up their foundation with a reliable and reusable security and compliance standards built in. And they were able to roll that out. They rolled it out across 5 countries. Look at these results below. 5 countries. And in 19 months, these 300 applications moved to the cloud and got them these great results. You can see the cost savings, but most importantly, you can see the speed they gained going forward then. They're able to do all this in 19 months. That's pretty fast. But then they're able to set up teams to go provision new environments in what used to be more than 4 weeks and is now under an hour at Liberty Mutual. The team they created was their own folks learning how to do this with some help from our specialists, but also some of our great partners at AWS, one called CloudReach and another one called Intuitive Technology Partners. Really impressed with how this team worked in a distributed fashion across many countries, many teams, and got it all done so fast with such great control because of their great foundation and operating model that they set and that they built in the right controls from the beginning. So you've heard me describe it. Now let's hear it described by Liberty Mutual themselves. And this is James Mooney, the Director of Global Technology Enablement at Liberty Mutual. Let's hear it from James in a short video.
Hi, I'm James Mooney, Director of Global Technology Enablement with Liberty Mutual Insurance. I support our international markets and I'm based in Ireland. By moving our workloads to Amazon Web Services, Liberty Mutual Global Retail Markets aim to develop new products and services faster, improve system stability, and introduce savings for reinvestment. Our partnership with AWS Professional Services was key in enabling us to realize these goals. Together, we used a pattern-based design standard to accelerate the migration of over 300 production applications through a standardized, secure global pipeline. The ability to execute a migration at speed has been key to us realizing value, unlocking automation, and improving operational efficiency. AWS Professional Services brought the right skills, and we would not have been able to move forward at pace without our trusted partnership.
Well, thanks, James. And it was a really great experience to work with you and those great partners to get all that done in such a short period of time, setting up Liberty Mutual for a great future. So I told you there was a first work stream around that foundation and operating model, and we went through the Liberty Mutual example. And then there's this second work stream that goes on in parallel in most enterprises that goes after the legacy environments and the technical debt. And that's this migration and modernization. So let's look at another innovator who's moving quickly in Shell Energy Retail, in fact. So you might know Shell as an oil and gas company, more of a product company. And product companies are all trying to use technology to add digital services, to enter into the services markets or services segments, in addition to having great products. In this case, Shell Oil acquired a utility, First Utility in the United Kingdom. A company called First Utility had 800,000 homes to which they provided utility services, electric, oil and gas, etc. This was an effort by Shell's part to innovate and reach out through partnership, through an acquisition of First Utility. But their vision was to go big. It was to bring all of Shell's brand and market presence combined with the start that First Utility had of 800,000 homes. But their ambition together was to go to 5 million homes. So they got together in a business, sounded great, looked at their environment, and found that they had scalability challenges. They had stability challenges. They had had recent outages that were making them concerned about their ability to scale it up in this way and provide great consumer services, which was the point of the whole initiative. So we worked with them across their environment. We got their team together, team of people that hadn't worked together before, 60 people who we got through some experiential learning and some training. And look at what they did. And I want to draw special attention to the automation here. If you look at the hosts that they migrated, 871 hosts, they automated it using a service from AWS called Cloud Endure. If you look at the databases, 400 databases, they automated that migration with an AWS service called Database Migration Service, DMS. And if you look at the containers, how they used containers, 757 of them, and how they used the service from AWS called Elastic Kubernetes Service, EKS. All that put together really helped them move along quickly with high quality and high speed and low cost. In fact, they brought this team together that hadn't worked together before. And using all this automation, they had an initial plan of 19 months. And they were able to use automation to crash it down to just 10 months to complete that scope of work with a team that hadn't worked together before. They'll tell you that they invested in getting that team ready, getting them the training, getting them access to some experts and best practices. But it also came down to smart use of that automation through that migration and modernization process. And now let's look at their outcomes at the bottom here. What fantastic results. Could you imagine being able to tell this to your CFO where they're looking at cost avoidance of $4.5 million. They're looking at operating expense savings of 24%. And then most importantly is that strategic point of the whole acquisition, the whole merger, was to be able to scale up from that 800,000 homes to reaching 5 million homes now enabled by this cloud-based operating model, this cloud-based platform. So you can see again, this is another case where it just wasn't an IT endeavor. This was about a new play for the business enabled by the cloud. Here again, they brought a team of people together, taught them a new way of working, and the access specialists from our team, as well as one of our great partners, Slalom Consulting. Put us all together and got these fantastic results in such a short time. It was really fun to be a part of it. So you've heard me describe it. Now let's look at how the customer describes it, how Shell Energy Retail describes it. Take a look at Tony Battle's quote here. Tony's the CIO and CTO of Shell Energy Retail. And the most important part for me, I think, is the last part where he says, this set the foundation in place for the expansion and innovation in coming years. He's one of those innovators, Shell Energy Retail innovators, where they're saying they're not going to sit back and just be Shell Oil and Gas of old. They're going to reach new markets. They're going to add services capability to the product portfolio that Shell has to actually go into the utility segment, which is a big move enabled by the cloud. These are the kinds of moves that winners make. This is the type of innovation that's enabled by the cloud. So I told you there were 3 big work streams. There's the foundation, and we talked about Liberty Mutual. There's that migration and modernization, and we talked about Shell Energy Retail. Now there's this third one, which is where you just couldn't do it in the old environment. It's new capabilities of the cloud enabling new business services to be created that just were a no before, and now you get to say yes. So let's take a look at a leader who's innovating in this way. You likely know this name, Toyota. Toyota is obviously based in Japan, but a worldwide company. Toyota sells 10 million vehicles a year. That's a big global presence. And when you look at what they were doing, for about 20 years, vehicles from different manufacturers have been connected in a telematics way, usually by a third-party provider. In fact, that was the situation for Toyota. Toyota had third-party providers helping them with their telematics connections that offered some roadside services or other kinds of safety services to their consumers. But Toyota wanted to do more. Again, a product company wanting to add services, a product company wanting to have a relationship with their customers and to differentiate their business from the alternatives. And when they looked at that compelling business case, they see it as very strategic. And when they looked at their existing architecture they had chosen, it just wasn't possible. The capabilities weren't there and the cost was way too high. So that business case had such priority that they stopped and they changed horses and they went a completely different direction, came to AWS, and they took advantage of key capabilities that I want to call out in the middle of this slide. The key one was moving from just batch data movement to taking advantage of 4G connection to the vehicles, all the sensors on those vehicles, and getting that data streaming back and taking advantage of it through a streaming data service called Amazon Kinesis. Adding on top of that, serverless processing of that mass amount of data coming in real time from so many vehicles, the serverless processing with AWS Lambda, all fed into a scalable data lake underneath it, gave them access to rich data much closer to real time, serverless processing to go up and down as the volumes changed, and then they could create great new services for their consumers and build a relationship with the consumer that they didn't have when they were just a product company. So what was the example? My favorite example, there are many. My favorite example is a service they've created they call geofencing. Geofencing is the ability for a user to define a geographical limit for where that vehicle can go. And when it goes outside that limit, there's an alert sent to the subscriber, to the owner. There's also the ability to manage that vehicle, to watch the speed of that vehicle and have a user set limit where if the speed exceeds that limit, there's an alert sent to the subscriber. You don't have to think too hard about that one. Perhaps you have children who are just learning to drive or early in their independent driving careers, and you're concerned about their safety. I know I was. And in this great service, Toyota is able to provide a service to consumers that's really at an important value proposition around safety that takes advantage of streaming and quick analysis to be able to send new alerts on this geofencing and speed limit alert. I think what's great about this one, of course, that they cut the processing 97%. In fact, that was 17 hours of processing gets done now in 25 minutes. But most importantly, they got this done in just 6 months. They got to market in so much faster way with this new digital service that, again, could never have been done without the cloud. Couldn't have been done because the capabilities weren't there, couldn't have been done because the cost was too high. And now, by working together with a set of specialists from our team, their team at Toyota Connected, and again, our partner, Slalom Consulting, we got these kind of results that you see here about lowering the cost, speeding the whole process up, and putting themselves in position to create great new services that help strategically move Toyota from a great product company to also having these great services and this connection with their consumer. You heard me describe it. Now let's look and see how Toyota describes it. Here's Brian Cursor, the Chief Technology Officer from Toyota Connected North America. Again, when I look at Brian's quote, I draw your attention to the end of it, where he says that having access to these best practices resulted in an accelerated time to market for us. That's what they really picked up out of it. They had telematics to the car for many years, but now they have the streaming capability, the serverless analysis, the data lake to support it, and getting to market in just 6 months' time with a new service that others didn't have. That's what it's about in terms of that digital disruption, digital innovation that we talked about at the beginning. So I've told you 3 stories, one from each of the big work streams: the foundation with Liberty, the modernization and migration with Shell Energy Retail, and now this new business innovation, new capabilities with Toyota Connected. I couldn't get through this presentation without bringing an example that I'm pretty proud of. This is an Amazon example. Amazon, on the retail side, has been a big user of AWS for many years. They've gone through those work streams. They set a great foundation. They've modernized. They've migrated. They're creating new capabilities. And now when you look at all of Amazon's retail business and look at these boxes, my personal experience as an Amazon customer a few years ago was that no matter what I ordered, it always seemed like the boxes didn't fit what I ordered. Either there was a small item I ordered came in a giant box with a lot of extra packaging material, or I ordered multiple things from different sellers on Amazon and it came in multiple boxes, all with their own packaging and at different times. So now my experience is that using the technologies from AWS, Amazon has optimized their packaging such that when I order items off of Amazon, I order a small item, it doesn't come in a box. It comes in an envelope. If I order multiple things, it comes in one box with a whole lot less material for the packaging. I don't know if that's been your experience yet, but I encourage you to pay attention to it because it's rolled out in the Americas and we're rolling it around the world, and the results are just astounding. I got to share this with you real quick. The number of packages in just the Americas that go out using a box has dropped from 68% to 42%. That's a big change in the use of cardboard boxes. And you say, well, how big is that? I don't know how big the Americas business is. Well, I can tell you that it cut their packaging weight, just the sheer weight of boxes, by 33%. And you say, well, I still can't quite get a grasp for how much is that really? Help me picture that. Okay, 68 to 42%, 33% reduction in materials overall. That translates to 915,000 tons. 915,000 tons of reduced materials, reduced weight. Imagine the savings in fuel. Imagine all the waste that the consumers are not having to deal with as well. So that's reducing the carbon emissions from all this process. It's bringing a better service to the consumer. It's optimizing the cost and efficiency on the Amazon side as well. And in fact, it's important to understand what's underneath there. They're using the AWS services to look at the images of products, to look at consumer feedback, to look at order history, to look at order forecast, to not only optimize their choice of package for one order, but to be able to predict it, to be able to forecast what kind of packaging materials they're going to need for what kind of orders they're going to experience. It's predicted. That's how they then optimize it and getting all kinds of efficiencies and a much better consumer experience. Again, if you haven't seen it yet, it's coming. And when it does, I hope you'll remember this presentation. So let's summarize. We've gone through those 3 work streams and we've talked about some examples and one at Amazon that wrapped it all up. But what are the big lessons to take away here? This is really the money slide. This is the one where I really want to give you the gems that I hope you'll find most useful. I told you in my role, I get to watch every week. We look across all the in-flight migrations that we can see and modernizations and transitions that we can see. And on this slide are the summary reasons and the solutions for anyone that's struggling or stalling. Let's start at the top. When you have a great business case like Toyota did, and it's got a great sponsor, and it's a compelling one and it's strategic, you can survive a situation where you realize you're off track and there's distractions and you got to change direction. That's what Toyota did, and they were able to keep it as a high priority, quickly move over to the AWS environment, do all the things that I told you about, and ship a brand new service in 6 months. They kept their eye on the ball because of their sponsorship against a compelling business case, and it drove their priorities. I can't tell you enough. It sounds simple, but I can tell you that the biggest reason we see for stalls and for projects getting off track is it just loses its priority. The leaders don't understand the business case in business terms, so when it goes off track, they're still working on other things that are more important. When it's a strong business case in business terms, they're able to give it the priority it deserves. I really encourage you to examine that and have high standards in your definition of your business case in business terms. Let's go over to the far right of this slide, the people part. I talked about at Shell Energy Retail, where people who had never worked together got together to work in a brand new way. Got together with experts from some of our partners, from our team, from different parts of their organizations. There are two organizations that were merging. And what they said is you got to be very intentional about the skills and the experiences that those people get and how you create a new way of working. This isn't just a new database tool or a new developer tool. This is a new way of working. There's some change here. I recommend you treat it as a change management project. I can tell you that our customers make the most progress the fastest. They look back and they say, when they were going well, it was because they were intentional about the change management on the people aspect of the change. Watch for it. Don't underestimate it. This will be a big key to your success too. Now let's go around to the lower left of this slide, the operating model. I talked to you about the key at Liberty Mutual where they got that operating model set up so multiple teams could run in parallel. But let me tell you about something that you may not have thought about in that way. I hear a lot of people saying, well, we're going to do private cloud and a little bit on the public cloud, or we're going to have hybrid cloud, or we're going to have multi-cloud. We're going to have all these different ways to operate then. You got to think through what these different choices of technologies translate into in terms of a business operating model. And I'll submit to you that what we've seen from our customers, the ones who make the progress the fastest and get the farthest in business results, they focus on a primary operating model, a primary cloud provider, and they teach their team how to move fast with that, and they optimize for that. If they spread their bets too thin, it's not focused enough, it's too high of a cost, too much variation, and they're not able to make the kind of progress that they set out to make. So I'm encouraging you to really focus on that operating model, pick a primary, and you'll have great success. So your opportunity is big. It's not just an IT thing. It's something you're going to be able to impact your business stakeholders and your business's customers. It's the thing that's going to differentiate you from alternative providers. It's the thing that's going to help your company not only survive, but thrive as pressure gets higher, as the speed gets higher. You're going to emerge as one of those winners if you're bold and if you do it now. Thank you very much for your attention in this presentation. I hope you got some useful nuggets and lessons from enterprises like yourselves from all around the world where you can take and apply that right away in your business to change how you think about making progress quickly across all the dimensions we discussed. This presentation was recorded, and I'd encourage you to come back to it if you need to for reference. But also, there are many resources available to you on the enterprise section of the AWS portal. These resources include training and support and our partner offerings, and also a special area that we call the Amazon Prescriptive Guidance, APG. That's where our best practices get published that you and your teams can use to make your progress the fastest. Hey, I'd also like to put in a plug for one of my colleagues, Shantu Roy. Shantu's got a presentation coming up that's going to go deeper into this business innovation using the cloud technology, specifically the production application of artificial intelligence and machine learning. He's going to help you see how it goes from just being interesting predictive models to being real live uses in production to drive business innovation and differentiate your company from others and make you one of the winners in the future. So, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for participating in AWS reInvent 2020. Wish you the best of luck, and I'm confident that with a bold approach and going right now, your organization is going to be one of the winners in the future, and we look forward to working with you. Thanks and good luck. And also, please give us feedback. We'd very much like to hear how you rated this presentation and how we can do better. Thanks again.